still offline. Shoot.
Oh, we're live.
We are?
Yes.
You're able to see it?
Yeah.
I'm able to see it. Yes?
I am. Okay, yeah, cool. Looks like...
Yes, I see your screen. We are live.
Okay, so, yeah, I'm just gonna let everybody know, and then I'll mute myself, and you guys can continue.
Perfect. Okay. Fantastic. Well, I think we're live. And sorry, everyone, for the technical difficulties. We're all learning how to do this. And yeah, thank you for being here. So welcome to the new Jamstack Seattle Meetup, the first one of 2021. Super excited. Yay. And I'm super excited to have here with us Dan from Stackbit and Brian from the Jam Dev event. He's going to be talking about that in a moment. So maybe let's jump right in with our announcements for today. I'm going to give you the floor, Brian, so you can tell us what this event is about and everything that you want to tell us, and I'll tell everyone about our discount code.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Really glad to be here. Thanks, Flora. So the Jam.dev is a 2-day virtual conference all about the Jamstack. We've got like pretty much 20 speakers coming and talking about pretty much every topic you can imagine. We've got talks about Eleveny and Next and Redwood and Nuxt and so on, all different tools and APIs that work with the Jamstack. Some speakers include like Sarah Drasner, Tom Preston Werner, Gift Agwenu, Phil Hawksworth, Raymond Camden, Ohad from Stackbit will be there as well. So yeah, it's going to be great. It's like 2 full days, and if you use the code Seattle, you get 50% off the ticket price. It's in just 2 weeks, so it's right around the corner. So I hope to see you all there.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so yeah, everyone, please make use of the code. And is it for the 2 days? Valid for the 2 days?
Yeah, it gives you access to both days, as well as you get exclusive access to the recordings for the first 3 months afterwards. Yeah.
Cool, that's pretty cool. And I wanted to know how's the format gonna be? Is it gonna be you're jumping from room to room, or how's that? Which flavor of conference we get?
Yeah, so you're gonna be basically in the same room all day. We have the day's space is 45-minute sessions. Well, 30-minute sessions with 15 minutes Q&A, and then we have like a little break in between. And then in the afternoon, we have lightning talks, which are like 10 minutes back to back, just to give us, more ability to have more speakers and more topics that, we wouldn't otherwise be able to cover. And to me, sometimes I find those a lot of fun. I find I learn a lot, cram a lot of information into 10 minutes. So yeah, that's the format.
Cool, fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, even for the code. And I hope to see everyone there.
Yeah, and Flora, you're speaking as well, I should have mentioned.
Yes, I'll be there. So come watch what I'll be talking about, which is going to be add-on e-commerce on the Jamstack. So pretty interesting. Cool. Well, that said, I wanted to share with you guys, I don't know if you are already on the Jamstack Slack. If you are not, you can head to this URL and join the Slack. It's a pretty cool space for us to, talk about everything about the Jamstack. There's a few cool channels that I recommend joining, such as jobs and freelancing, agency, obviously Gatsby, Next.js, JavaScript, and there are some more for events and things like that. So it's a perfect place to, join and be on the loop with everything that's going on in the community. That said, if you do have any problems joining with that link, reach to us on Twitter, and we can help you get on the Slack by sending you an invite or anything. But it should be open to everyone. One thing that I wanted to share with everyone that I found, and I think it's pretty cool, it's a 3-hour, it's almost 4 hours course on YouTube that's being done by FreeCodeCamp and Phil from Netlify about, it's a great introduction on the Jamstack, and he goes through everything, talking about architecture, tools, and pretty much everything that you will need to know if you don't know what the Jamstack is about and you want to start working with it, and so on. So you can find this on YouTube. This is what you're going to see, and so I recommend you watch that because it's pretty cool. And that said, let's start talking about Stackbit, which is super exciting. I'm super excited about this because let me tell you, when we went live with these meetups, I wanted to put up a web page or something that we can use as the event page other than the meetup.com page. And obviously I wanted to do something with the Jamstack, but at the moment, from the moment that I had the idea until the previous event, I just had a few hours. And I was like, how am I going to do this? And then I kind of found, I already knew Stackbit, but I kind of remembered about it. And I was like, maybe I can use this to create our landing page. And I don't know if you guys saw our landing page. It's this one. And you can see it's pretty cool. I promise you, I did this in under an hour of work. I was so amazed by this. And then afterwards I reached out to Stackbit and I was like, we need to share this with everyone. This is super cool. Yeah, so that's why we have here Dan joining us, and he's gonna be talking about everything about Stackbit, so you guys know what it is about, and what it brings to the Jamstack ecosystem, and which tools it has for us to create this super fast and cool websites fast. And something that I also want to kind of feature about this is they have a live preview editor that you can use to live edit your site. I'm not going to spoil anything because Dan's going to show us what that's about. So stay tuned because that's pretty cool. So welcome, Dan.
Thank you.
We're super happy to have you here. And with that said, I can hand off the screen share to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Flor, for having me.
Sure.
So yeah, this is, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what, Stackbit does, but most importantly, I want to, talk about the Jamstack in general. And, because we don't know exactly what level of knowledge everybody has, I'm going to give a little bit of an intro. So as most of you know, the web is replatforming and has been for many years now. And the Jamstack, which is like what we call modern sites, have advanced a lot and are providing an amazing experience in terms of blazing fast. They're very secure. Everything is served from a CDN, right? So like this is what contributes to the speed and the security. Like the pages are pre-compiled ahead of time. The name static sites is kind of misleading in many ways. I don't really like it, right? Because it's like the code that is static, right? The sites themselves can be very dynamic and interactive, and I think it's like a little bit of a misnomenclature there. But in this brave new world, we get great SEO with the speed that we gain, and things are scalable. You don't need to worry about, I'm going to have a press release and like all of a sudden I'll get a spike of traffic. I need more servers. This is just served from the CDN and everything just is perfect. So developer experience, right? Developer experience is pretty good too, right? It's like, at least in our minds, things are separated as they should be. All my content is in one place in the CMS, code sits elsewhere. I choose my deployment, and this makes a lot of sense. However, it is a little bit hard to get started. It's not very, very hard. But even if you know what you're doing, you still have to define the content models, get a theme, make sure that if you have a hero section in your design, right, in your code, then you define the data schema and the CMS knows about it, and the code pulls the data from the CMS, and all these wirings just take time. And it's not like a really fun job. Plus, we want to hook it up so when changes are made, webhooks are called, the deploy is triggered, and you have a new site. So all this takes time. And this was the first mission we kind of set about 2 years ago, roughly, with Stackbit to solve. Right? It was the first product that we have that is still there, and that I'll demo in a second. Just helps you get started with the Jamstack, and instead of like taking about 2 days to wire all these things up, you just get as kind of Flora mentioned, you're running in 60 seconds. Now, kind of to continue a little bit of the overview, what has stayed behind, and not just stayed behind, actually like marched backwards, is the whole experience for people who are actually editing the websites for content and images, and just start working on it as after it's built, right? The life cycle of the site just starts once it's built. So people want to edit strings, correct things, add new pages, write blog posts, change images, do A/B testing, right? A lot of people are using the website as e-commerce, right? As like Flora alluded to, it's very an interesting, very hot area, right? And this whole experience is not only like stayed behind, it's just like now age is in the past. So your usual experience as a non-technical person would be, oh, I'm going to go to the CMS and I'm going to make changes. Now in the Jamstack, the CMSs are what we call headless CMSs. What is headless, right? So head is the essentially the display. So the CMSs are all about, I'm going to handle the data really well. I'm going to make it sure it's structured in the correct way, and it can be pulled into websites and books and whichever other resources you need. But that means it's decoupled from the way it's presented. This is the headless part. So when you're editing your website, you're essentially looking at content that has no real correlation to what it looks like on the page. And that's hard. It's like editing a little bit like blindly, right? You're getting a little bit of like a PHP MyAdmin or database editing experience, which is like not great. Since hooking up a preview is not trivial either, you're in a state where you kind of have to make changes, and you're a little bit guessing, right? Is that the right thing? Will this affect other pages? I'm not sure. And then you build it, right? Because you don't have a preview set up, you build it so it goes to production. And then you actually see it. No, I don't like it. It's not exactly that. That's the good case, right? Or the best case, like, of course, everything works. But you might have made like a typo that's like runs to a new line that you don't want. You can also break something, and you're paying this price while we're getting all these benefits, right? Everything is like fast and secure because we're doing this pre-compile, right? And like we're preparing the site ahead of time. So we're spending that time then. And that time doesn't matter at all to the consumers of the website, the people who are visiting, but it matters to the person who is editing, because the editor just goes through that build process over and over again, and then starts to accumulate. So that was our second mission, right? And this is when we launched what we call the Stackbit Studio. That is to enable people to work on their website in a way that is, on par and better than what they're used to with modern editors. So that's about it. I'll pause for a second with the intro, and then we'll go to demos. But I just want to pause for a sec, see if we have any questions or anything like that.
That's great. I actually forgot to say that if you guys have any questions, you can post them on the YouTube chat, and we're gonna be picking questions up from there and answering them. So yeah, that's it. We can jump into your demo. And I also wanted to mention that we are looking forward to make this talk more conversational with you guys. So we're super looking forward to questions and anything that you might want to know about Stackbit, or any question that you know can come up about the Jamstack in general. That's what we're here for. This is a different format, as you know, being in person, where we can talk about the Jamstack and everything after the meetup is done. We usually do that in person, right? We don't have that space here. That's why we want to use the chat more, and we want you reaching out to us more with questions. Also, like maybe not during the event, but also when we are not doing the events, you can reach out to us, ask questions. We are super happy to direct you to an answer, or maybe it can bring a great idea for a future event and that. So just opening the floor for we want to hear you guys about Stackbit questions and today's questions and general questions. So with that said, all yours, Dan.
Thank you. So yeah, so this is a perfect segue into this, and let me just share my screen. I think you need to stop yours first. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, can you guys see it okay? It should be the Stackbit homepage.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so let's talk about, we're here, right, to make the web better. And we're, this platform that plays very well with all the tools out there in the Jamstack world. And we help essentially with delivering one solution that you can use, and instead of like separate tools, right? And like, so everything that you're making as choices will work, right, with Stackbit, right? So if you're, for example, like your CMS is contentful, either for historical reasons or because you need internationalization or because of whatnot. If you love Sanity's model and you're like with Sanity as a CMS, great. If you want to work with Gatsby, support that. Next.js, that as well, right? So like this is you should think about Stackbit as this platform that enables you and just facilitates and orchestrates all these tools to work together. And we talk about how this orchestration happens at build time and helps provision that site. But we can also talk about how that later on helps you do things like A/B testing, which are like in the Jamstack mostly limited to only developers. That developer who's going to make it is not going to be happy like without like a tool that helps orchestrate, because it's a lot of reprovisioning essentially everything again. So let's just like get started, right? And let's say we're here to build a Jamstack website and we want to start as quickly as possible. We're going to pick one of these themes, right? So these are themes that have been built by us. And what you can expect from them is a lot of flexibility and a lot of content model that are like set up correctly. And I'll show you once the site is up. What do I mean by that? By this, like doing like implementing the right content model for themes. You can bring in your own themes as well. And there's an open source site called jamstackthemes.dev that we helped create and maintain, and everybody can submit themes there and just pick them and use our import flow to bring them into Stackbit. So let's just like pick this theme, which I really like, right? And I'm just like, I'm immediately brought to the summary page, and we're gonna call this Best Seattle, actually, just because it's in kind of light of remembering, like I think like just notifying what this is about, like in terms of like the project. Here's what I can do, right? So I can select whichever CMS I want to work with. I can change, and say, well, provision the site for me using Sanity or using Contentful or using one of the other CMSs out there. We also have the option of just use Git, just use markdown files in Git and nothing specific. Like I don't need anything fancy, so this will be enough. My data will be my site will be data driven, but by markdown files in Git. And then site generator, I can also choose between these. Let's pick Next.js. I really like it. It's responsive. I'm already connected to GitHub. This is the only thing you need to do, sign up with GitHub or with us, and then you create a site. And this should actually take
that.
Yes.
Is it so? Why is it that we need the connection to GitHub, or what does that give us?
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that's a great question. One of the things that we really believe in is completely open architecture and full ownership of content and code and everything. So when this happens in these 60 seconds, we're essentially creating a repo for you, and you can transfer the repo to your account. It's completely yours. If you want to stop using Stackbit after you've deployed the site, completely optional, and like you don't have to continue using us. You own the repo.
We can say that it's a great starting point for creating a Jamstack site. You can make use of the great tools that Stackbit gives you, which is what you're going to show. Mm-hmm. But if not, you can kind of how do you say when you like break out of something and
yes.
go your own way.
Right.
There's
you can eject, right?
Eject, yes.
For example, and there's actually like not even, you don't even have to do anything. You have access to the repo. You can make code changes on your own. You own the CMS. Like if I had picked, in this case, it's also everything is in Git, so I didn't need another connection. But if I would have picked Contentful, I would authorize with Contentful. It would be my own account as the user, right? And then you own that space. You make that changes. Everything is hooked up.
That's interesting, because like when you just picked the CMS, does Stackbit under the hood create an account for us, like on our behalf, or do we need to sign up for an account on that CMS? How does that work?
So you do have to sign up, right? Because it's your account, right? It's like in this case, because it was like it's GitHub, so we're putting the files in Git. So like it's one sign up and that's it. But yes, we don't use our own Contentful account and then kind of hold your space on our end. It's just you don't have an account with Contentful, then you're gonna go sign up to Contentful and then connect, and then everything will happen on spaces that you own, essentially.
Okay, perfect.
So now this is the site, and we've transitioned into the studio. I'll actually switch to an identical project that I've just like granted more permissions to, just so we can like show more things here.
Secret things that are not available yet.
Some of them are not available. Some of them you have to just request for. Like it's a lot of these things that are A/B testing is not available out of the box. It's like you have to like say, I want this, and then we usually like kind of like we're talking to you about it. We understand how you want to use it and allow you to use it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So it's the exact same setup that was before. And so, what are you seeing here? Right now, you're seeing a preview of this website, right? So you'll see that this is kind of, it's in Stackbit's app in our studio, right? I can go to the live site and I can load it up, right? If I click like live site, this would actually be the live site. And right now I haven't like created a custom domain, so it's just like hosted on Netlify. And let me go back to this. So this is a preview, right? And what's happening here in the background, and I'm going to go a little bit more technical, is that we're running, in this case, it's a Next.js site. So we're running Next.js, the static site generator, right? What actually builds the site in develop mode, right? With all kinds of patented technology hooked in. And so we can make all the changes in real time and not wait for this build, right? So if I was hooked up to Contentful in this case and not Git, I would go to Contentful, make changes. They would be reflected here as well, because we have this like pipe going, right? And we're listening to all the changes and updating in real time. So without further ado, we can just like say, well, this is a big hero, right? So I can say, hello world, right? And this is like, hello world. And I just type in here and it updates in real time. And this is kind of for most people that are using site builders or WYSIWYG editors or whatever, it's like, yes, of course, this is what you should be doing. But in the Jamstack world, it's pretty magical, right? To get to this state. And we have to know where all the elements, like how are we mapping them to the right places, and make sure that this actually gets updated and doesn't wait for the full build. So it's not super trivial. Other things you can do, you can like hover over images. You can say, oh, I want to like upload, I want to upload a new image. I want to use an existing image, and I'm going to remove this image, so I can pick another image, and it's already uploaded to this repo, and it just changes it immediately. I can make, I can make changes to the buttons, and I can like change the label. But I can also say, well, you know what, actually, I want to look at more properties here. So I can change the URL of the button, and I can change its style, right? So I can make this, for example, I can make it a link instead of the primary. So now it's a link. And I can also do things like, well, you know what, actually, let me open this in the sidebar just so I can move it around, right? And I'm going to grab this. I'm going to grab the Learn More button. I'm going to drag it above this, and then they'll change places.
Nice.
So this is a little bit about what we're talking about when we're saying that the content is modeled in the correct way, right? Because building a theme and getting a specification from a designer, or deciding on how this looks like, you might say, well, I want 2 buttons, right? And that's it. And you'll get 2 buttons that are hard-coded, and then you'll be able to change things on those buttons if like the developer created this mapping and said like, oh, you can change the URL through the CMS. But then if I wanted to add another button, then I couldn't have done that, right? And that's the problem. And I want to say, well, like modeling things correctly would mean that this is actually a list, right, of buttons, and maybe it has 1 button, but it allows for the extensibility to make that change. And similarly, it can be like, well, I'm looking here at sections. So I have like the header, the footer. If I'm looking at the sections, I can also grab this image grid and put it above the header. And this will also change immediately. And this is, again, because this was implemented not as a hard-coded page, right, but as a list that like has this interoperability. You'll notice that this does not actually like allow you to like drag buttons all over the place and just have complete freedom, which we see as kind of a big plus in many ways. Of course, there's like a lot of room for having your own design that you want to like drag and drop everywhere, but this is for a content creator that usually is going to work on their company's website, maybe personal website, but somebody has defined and put a lot of thought into how these elements work well together, right? So within the confines of this system, this would work, and you have a lot of flexibility there. For example, a lot of the data that's pulled into this specific site is actually contributes to how it looks like. So I can change from a classic look to what we call a bold look, right? So you'll notice that the buttons have kind of changed, how they appear. The colors are different, the borders are more pronounced. I can say that the palette, changes to blue, and then this looks different. It doesn't change just the color of this background, but of the buttons, we can change it to dark mode, and then we can do like many different changes as long as these have been defined by the developer, right? So this is where a good
Can
thing.
I ask you a question there?
Yes.
Can we say that we started using that theme that was developed by Stackbit for us? Can we, when we start using it, add more kind of styles to it? Yes. Or changes if we're the developer? Yes.
Yes, that's a great point. And we are so obviously you can go to your settings, right? You can go to your settings, and you can go to Netlify to see what's happening there. You can go to the GitHub to make changes. So you can just go to the code and make whatever changes you want. We have a developers panel here on the bottom, so you can copy instructions and do local development. You'll notice we're working, this preview is actually on a preview branch in Git, right? If you were working with an API-based CMS, it would be slightly different. But with the implementation of a Git-based CMS, we're working on different branches. So you can use this to have local development. We have logs here that we're showing you like essentially what's happening if you have any errors and stuff like that. And very soon we're going to have really exciting stuff coming along that will help developers as well work straight, on code elements from the studio, right? So this is coming very soon. But you're right, I could go now into the code, and if I wanted to change, maybe this blue is not exactly the blue I want, and I go to the CSS and I change, the hex value, or I can create a whole new component. I'm going to say like, well, yeah, I want a video component that has the video running in the background and does, I don't know what. Each company has their own needs. So totally extensible, totally open, total ownership. And this is what I'm quoting things that we're hearing a lot from our users. Total ownership of the code, of the content, understanding how things work, right? Everything is transparent. There's no black box here. There's no magic, right? If you look under the hood, I guess it feels like a magical experience, but if you look under the hood, everything is clear and out in the open. So that's like one thing.
Is it free? How is that?
Sorry?
Is it free? Do we have to pay for the product, or how does that work?
Yes. So right now it's free. We're going to introduce pricing very soon, and the pricing, we're always going to have a free tier out there. And the free tier is mostly, for developers, for personal use. And it will, provide you with all the editing experience. You'll be able to build the websites. You'll still be able to do all these things. Where it goes beyond into paid plans will start happening when you want to add collaborators, right? So you're working with more people, you're at a company, you're at a team. So adding more collaborators and accessing the advanced features that I'll talk about in a second, right? And all these are the things that I've opened up, specifically for this project, the ones that you can get access to right now in beta. So this is, this is how it's going to work. And these, speaking of collaborators, right? This is exactly the place where we hear from a lot of developers that they feel that with Stackbit they can empower their non-technical folks to touch the site, not just make changes, but also sleep well at night, knowing that the changes will most likely won't break the site, right? You can of course still kind of, there are always bugs, you can always do that, but it feels like, yes, you're giving them control in a confined, in a safe way that makes sense for everybody. And this trepidation of making changes is also on the non-technical person, the marketer side, the business development person. They're like, can I touch this? If I change this in the CMS, will this break stuff? How does it work? So I'll pause for another second to kind of before I go on and describe more things you can do.
Yeah, I think that a great use case for this is, you're a freelancer and you are trying to, create a website for your client. Usually the normal thing that they want you to use is WordPress, because they have, the CMS and the visual part and everything. So in my opinion, I think that this is a great way to, start introducing your clients to the whole Jamstack, because it's not, a super complicated transition from, the visual WordPress thing that they have into this great CMS visual. It's even better because they can edit and actually see what the site's gonna look like when they hit publish. So I think that just thinking that it's a great use case for that. If you as a developer are, find yourself being forced using WordPress because that's what your clients want, but secretly want to start using the Jamstack, I think this is a great way to, start doing that transition for yourself and also your clients, so they can start, experiencing what the Jamstack is all about. And when they see all the benefits and they can see how their website is more performance and everything, I think it's a better, buy into Jamstack for them, because people need to see before, they buy something. So I don't know, just putting the thought out there. If you're, have a client or anything that, needs to do a website, maybe throw Stackbit out there and talk about, how it can make the development better and the project better. Because the great thing, I think, it's one of the things about the Jamstack is it's great that we have, the ability to, that it's flexible, that we can choose a tool from here, a tool from there, and we can do whatever. But then it's a little bit, not organized once you have all those moving parts. How do you put them together, and how do you do the handoff to your client? It's like with WordPress, they have just one little package that has everything. Here's the website, here's the key. And with the Jamstack is, here's your 7 keys, here's your different 7 dashboards to your CMS and Netlify and whatever, I think that, this kind of fills that gap, that kind of handoff situation. I think it's great.
That's a great observation, and we actually haven't talked about this before, Flor. So like amazing that like you actually kind of saw that immediately. Yes,
it's great for that. Yeah.
A lot of the people that are coming to us are freelancers and agencies, and I think a few interesting things are happening there. As you said, management is pretty rough in terms of like, I have one of the people I talk to, and I love talking to, users and clients and customers, and he was like, well, I have to just create, I open Gmail accounts for every single client because with this Gmail account, I'm opening it to GitHub, and I'm opening like the Netlify account, then like a CMS and whatnot. Then I have to like, whenever something goes wrong, and I have to like pull out all these settings. With this, right, with Stackbit, you just have a dashboard with all the projects per client. Everything is set there. We have the settings, everything is already connected. Right, and the way you would build this would be like, well, great, I'm gonna get started, and either I use one of the existing themes, or I have like an external theme, or maybe I've built my own theme that I'm now, which is usually what happens. I'm used to working with this, I know it really well, I'm improving it over time. I get started, the site is up in minutes, right? Very small customizations, and it's ready to go. And then I invite my client as a collaborator on this, right? And then that's it. And from that point onward, they can make changes to the site. And if they need anything, they can just tell me about it. And that's it. I'll be like, oh, okay, no problem. I'll open the project in the studio. Everything is connected. I'll make the changes. I'll go to the GitHub, and things can be fixed. And a lot of the things that we hear, right, and this is true for both agencies and internal developers and companies, is that they really want to bring the Jamstack to their organization. It has all these benefits, right? It's like, it's clearly the right choice, the future-proof choice in many ways, right? This is the way to go. And their personal experience is usually, I prefer, to build on the Jamstack in this like the great developer experience than anything else. But then like one of two things happens. If the developer, be that agency or an internal in the company, is really kind of powerful, has like the upper hand in decision making, then oftentimes they would be like, here's your Jamstack site, enjoy, and then you don't always enjoy it, right? And the other way that it happens is the agency or the internal developer is trying to pitch the Jamstack, and marketers or the client are like, well, how do I edit? And they show them how do they edit with the CMS and like editing this thing, and they're like, no, sorry, just like, So very good observation. And in this end, as we introduce pricing, this is something that also would be, the agencies themselves would actually like just build it, and like the client is paying for hosting, they're paying for a CMS if they need one, etc. They would be paying for the tool that enables them to edit the site. And most clients, from all the interviews that we talk to agencies, they want to do that, right? They want to do that. They don't always do it, right? They don't always make the changes, but having the peace of mind and the flexibility and having a tool that they can control in a straightforward way is priceless.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Let's talk about what else is happening here, right? So obviously you've seen that I can make changes here. Again, this is the data model, like, right? How are things defined? Because if I'm looking at this, and I can, this section, like the features section, has a lot of features in it, right? So as you'll notice, I can go ahead and open this in the sidebar because I want to see, all the features. And obviously this UI, we're moving the UI, we're migrating it to have people do more and more work on the page itself. So in this case, let's call this feature number 2, just to help us see it better. And I can just drag it up, right, and put it here, and then they'll switch places, right? And this is coded in such a way that it alternates, right, the right and left, but I can force it to do something else. For example, I can look at this and say, well, I want the position of this image to be actually on the right. And it will change here. And I can do all this, again, because the content model was defined in such a way that allows me to control it. If I bring in any random theme that was not written this way, I might not be able to do these types of changes. Let's switch. This is a bit, this dark mode is a bit too dark. Let's switch back to the light mode for a second. I can add pages, right? And I can create a page or duplicate a page. And this will, again, allow me to select from a list of, like, here I can add like a page of type page, not a great name. We can add a blog post, we can add an advanced page, right? So I won't go through this unless we have time at the end, but this just like, you're not limited to just the pages that are there. You have a site map here where you can like see the structure of the page, you can see the posts, etc. And this content is just like provisioned in the beginning. So you have something, you can like remove the pages, you can go ahead and edit them, etc. Other things you can do, right? So now that you're ready, you can publish. You can publish the entire site, or you can publish the current page. And this becomes, like the entire site is kind of like the default usually, especially if you are on a personal program, right? This is, you don't mind. You make changes, you can publish everything. Once you have collaborators, then you don't want, people publishing each other's changes. If you kind of are more advanced, then you need to schedule something. You like just schedule it in the future as well. A lot of things you might have. I want a product to go live on Black Friday. I want an announcement to go out when like I'm kind of pitching it to the media, so an embargo, etc. So this is relevant for, more, more professionalized marketing teams. I can also share this, right? I can add collaborators. And we're adding a new thing where like you can also like say not everybody necessarily must have the same role. So you can have publishers that can do everything, or you can have editors that will just be able to edit, and then they will submit, have a workflow like submit for approval, right? So this is just so you enable, especially like in larger organizations, you will have design to sign off and content management, maybe even legal at some point, etc. You can just share a link with anybody, and you can also just grab a link. We even have like this QR code that you can open on your phone, because like this site is very responsive, so it's like works on mobile as well. But some people just prefer to see it on their actual mobile device, so you can just like copy the link or use the. Actually, like I think if you're looking at the video right now, this is like a preview link that's open. You don't have to be signed into Stackbit, so you can actually like try with your phone to grab the QR code, and you'll see this. And if it's and all these previews are live, right? So the changes that I make here, right? Like we make just like another change, assuming that you have gone through this flow, right? And like let's say I want to change this to gray, and if you've grabbed that. Well, actually, no, you'd already be gray if you're not looking in real time. So forget about it. But if you're now on watching
this live, QR code generated when you make a change, or is it always the same one?
It's the same one. It was like, this is the live preview that you can share, right? And this is both for a marketing person makes a change, wants their boss or CEO or whatever to just take a look. They send them this link. It's already live. You don't have to this is your preview, right? This is your staging in many ways.
Yeah, exactly. The staging. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
Yes. And this can also work, by the way, between developers and designers. So it is, or developers and marketers. A developer now needs to create a new component. They create a new component. It's already going to be available here, and the marketers can say, well, this is what I needed or not what I needed. I need this flexibility or that flexibility. So we covered sharing. A/B testing is another thing that's pretty interesting. I won't go through the whole process right now, but you can set up an A/B test. Right. And when I set up an A/B test, it will just say, well, you have one variant, right? It's a baseline. I can add a copy and I can call it variant. Sorry. And 50-50 split. I can integrate with Google Analytics and it's fairly easy. And I'll just say, well, I want to save changes. And what's happening right now, I lied. I actually said, no, it's an error, of course, because one error has to happen in the demo, right? We have to have that. So I'm happy we got that out of the way. Anyway, what should have happened right here is that we essentially provision another branch, another version of this preview, right? And then let me explain really briefly what's happening if you want to set up an A/B test on the Jamstack. You would have to create a separate branch, right, on GitHub. You would have to create a separate environment in the CMS that you're using. You have to rehook them up, right? So everything is pointed to the right places with the right webhooks and everything. And then you have to go to your deployment platform, in this case, Netlify, right? And with Netlify, split the traffic, point each one of the ends, to the right branch. And this is just for one A/B test, right? And it's pretty complex.
And I can say that I've tried that before and it's a pain. So this is pretty amazing.
Yes. So this allows you to be well, we're just like we did in the beginning, we're just going to enable you to create another instance of it. And then you get a small drop down here that says, I'm editing the variant, or I'm editing the baseline, or whatever you decided to call it. And you make the changes and that's it. You publish, we take care of everything. The traffic is split. So as we said, you can integrate with Google Analytics. We'll add more integration options in the future, or, you can just be go commando style and be you know what, I'm just going to change the URL here on the button. If this is the button that I care about, and I'm going to add a UTM param at the end, and that's it. I'm going to look at which UTM param provides me with more, signups, actions that I want, purchases, etc. Have lots of features in the pipeline. SEO is coming up, which is something that people really need. Inherently using the Jamstack gives you the speed and a lot of the benefits. But I think we don't have a Yoast yet, right? Yoast for the most popular SEO plugin.
Is that to edit the meta descriptions and maybe add an image for the page? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Exactly. So yeah, let me pause again and see if we have any questions, or Flor, if you have anything that you wanted to highlight or add or ask me.
Yeah, no, I'm the one thing that kind of pops into my head is how complicated it is for us Jamstack developers to create a theme for Stackbit. So to kind of create, let's say, a Gatsby or a Next.js site, and then how complicated is it to hook it into the Stackbit Studio and have all those sections that we can, drag and drop and do all that magic that you just did?
Excellent question. This is something we're actively working on. It's possible. It's not that complicated, but I think, as we all know as developers, documentation is really, really important. And so we're working on making sure that a couple of things happen, right? First, we are making advances in so that you can actually import themes that are, any theme essentially can be imported, right? And if you go to jamstackthemes.dev, right, and jamstackthemes.dev, you can see many themes here. I think we have close to 1,000, if not more. Actually, maybe no,
It's a
maybe
lot.
only a few hundreds, but you can just go and filter by the SSG that you prefer, the CMS that you prefer, whatever CSS framework, and all of these, right? You'll notice that a lot of them have like a create website that will just go straight, to Stackbit. And in general, what happens, you can take any one of them and actually import it in. And this is, we are able, if your theme and site is data driven, right? So your code pulls its data from anywhere. It doesn't have to be like a CMS schema, but you have like a JSON file, an XML file, a YAML file where you store your data. We'll still be able to analyze it and allow you to edit it, right? And this is obviously like a bit more heuristics are involved. So it might not have like great labels, like everything here is labeled. And if you haven't set it up in a way that like you have arrays, then like some of these things you will not be able to change, like you have with the themes that have been really kind of the content model has been optimized for this. But it's definitely usable. And we have like great examples where you have a WYSIWYG editing without doing anything. We're always expanding more, our capabilities there. So actually, if you're using React and your content is even in the props itself and is in the code, even then we can allow you to make edits, right? So like we're making advances and just like doing R&D into that space. You can take a theme to enhance the behavior, right, and make sure that you provide us with the right hints. There's a Stackbit YAML that you can write, and you can tell us, for example, like what is a page exactly? Like so this will define what are the new pages that you see under, when you select like the create page, what is this list, right? If you have any special environment variables, all kinds of stuff like that. So we're now actively working on improving the developer experience. So automating, the process, providing visual tools to kind of to have that import process easier, right? And instead of like you having to work on a file, hand in hand in that, working with improving the documentation as well. But it is very possible. It's not that hard, and we're always like happy to support. So please just like reach out to us. I haven't mentioned like we have like support throughout the site. I'm personally Dan at Stackbit, and you can just reach out to me for anything at all. So we love to hear people that want to use our platform and have suggestions about how to make it better, or just tell us about what they can't do, and then we help. We help them, and we help improve the process. We also have, by the way, just to mention, we have like an import flow for existing sites. So we have customers that have come to us with very complex sites, right? So we have e-commerce, for example, where I have like headless Shopify and Contentful for the experience on the pages themselves, and hooked up with Gatsby. And these are existing sites that we can use. The studio can work on them, right? And so we have an import flow. And again, we're working there to make that as seamless as possible. So if you have an existing Jamstack site and you're interested to make it work with the Stackbit Studio, just ping us and let us know.
Nice. That was amazing. Thank you, Dan, for showing us all that. Is there anything else that you want to show us or tell us?
Yes, actually, yes. So we're always looking for great people that are passionate about, making the web better. So we're really, if you are interested in the space and, you're a developer, you're a designer, you're a great developer experience engineer or DevRel person or like whatnot. If you just feel passionate about this space and want to get involved, please reach out. We're hiring, and we're really excited to add more people to the team.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. You guys keep an eye on Stackbit. You guys are growing a lot and adding a lot of things. I can tell you, I think I saw you on one of the Jamstack conferences a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, that looks cool. But then you added so much stuff after that. It's amazing how much you're adding, and I can tell that you are putting a lot of work into this. Like the Jamstack it's complex and it's complicated, and you're trying to make it easier for all of us and for the entire ecosystem. So yeah, keep an eye on Stackbit, you guys. And let me take over for a moment. Let me share my screen. Share. Let me know if you guys see this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So like checking out, I have a few announcements to make. First, follow us on Twitter. If you want, as I mentioned before, if you have any question about the Jamstack or anything, we're always happy to, answer them and engage with you. And also to keep an eye on future events that we are doing. And related to that, if you have a talk, and that's, you have a product as Stackbit that you want to showcase, or you're a developer that you just want to, share something cool that you found out about the Jamstack or anything, feel free to reach out to us. We have on our landing page, which is this one, Jamstack Seattle Netlify app. Let me actually show you. If you go all the way to the bottom, we have these two blogs here that lead you to forms. If you want to submit a talk, you can do it through here. We'll be evaluating them and contacting you and talking about what we can do and all of that. And also, if you want to sponsor our meetup, you can request to sponsor here. We are always happy to, feature cool products and and that. So that's there as well. Don't forget about the Jam Dev that we have the 50% off. That's January 28 and 29. I'll be there speaking, so I hope to see you there. And I think that's all. So thank you guys so much. I hope that you leave this meetup super inspired, looking to Stackbit. And I hope to see you guys super soon. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Brian and Slava behind the scenes for making it happen.
Woo! Thank you, guys. Thanks, everyone, for coming and making this a great presentation. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
See you soon. Take care.
Bye. See you.
Bye.
Bye.